It has worked, hasn't it? You'll be all right now. I know it's worked!
This is Tim.
This is Jonathan.
And this is The Average. Welcome back, horror fiends, to night 10 of our 13 Nights of Halloween series. We're inching closer to Halloween, and the chills are only getting more intense as we dive deeper into the world of classic and contemporary horror. So far, we faced some iconic face-offs, but tonight we're revisiting a tale that's truly stood the test of time. If you've been with us since the beginning, you know we've tackled some incredible films with some amazing guests. We started our journey with Black Christmas, then The House of Wax, both of their modern incarnations and their classic predecessors, before venturing into the twisted world of Suspiria. Most recently, we've been crawling through the flesh and fear of David Cronenberg's The Fly with our special guest Travis from the Nightclub podcast. Well, Travis is back, and tonight he's joining us once more to compare and contrast the 1986 Cronenberg classic with the predecessor film from 1958, the one that started it all.
Hello. It's good to be back.
Woo! Welcome back, bro.
Yeah, man. I'll be damned. Yeah, Nightclub invading The Average once again. One-man army this time. No Rickles. And I don't think y'all have ever had Trevor or Cody on the show before, have y'all?
No, I haven't.
Gonna have
I talked to Trevor. Trevor and I were working something out for a while, but I don't know where that's going. So
he'd be busy. But thanks for having me back. I'm excited to talk about this movie with y'all. Tim, on the last episode, when we talked about Cronenberg's The Fly, I told you this was a whole different beast.
This is a whole different beast.
Right?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Oh, and today we get to talk about why they are two totally different beasts, and we'll dive into that. So remember, we want you to be a part of this Fright Fest. Watch along with us and share your thoughts and reviews. We have a handy little link in our Instagram bio where you can submit your scores the exact same way we do. Whether you're a fan of the originals or you prefer the remakes, your opinion matters. We're tallying up the scores, tagging everyone who submits a review and their valid tag to see how these head-to-head scores play out. Halloween rolls past, and we're stuck in the gray despair of days until next Halloween. We'll post the winners. Is the original better, or is the remake? So for those who haven't seen the original Fly, prepare yourself for a slice of vintage sci-fi horror that remains unsettling to this day. Directed by Kurt Newman and starring Vincent Price as Francois Delambre, David Hedison as the ill-fated scientist Andre Delambre, and Patricia Owens as his terrified wife, Helene. Either way. The Fly tells the haunting story of a scientific experiment gone horribly wrong. Unlike the 1986 remake, which took body horror to shocking extremes, the original plays with psychological horror, focusing on the slow descent into madness as Andre's humanity is stripped away by his transformation. The film's chilling ending has become one of the most iconic moments in horror history, leaving audiences both terrified and heartbroken. Tonight, we're dissecting these two versions of The Fly, examining their themes, their impact on the genre of horror, and why both films have remained so influential over the years. We'll delve into what makes the original timeless classic, how the remake redefined the story for a new generation, and which film ultimately leaves us with a more lasting impression. So grab your popcorn, mix up the cocktail that can be found on our Instagram page, and get ready for a night of fascinating film. We explored The Fly with our returning guest, Travis. All right, so we'll kick this off diving into the story and the plot of the original 1958 Fly. How unique or compelling is this story, Travis?
If I'm gonna get so automatically, I'm comparing it to the Cronenberg movie, right? Because you gotta.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to.
It's a completely not completely different story. It's a different story with the similar premise where a scientist creates a teleportation device. In this movie, he calls it the disintegrator reintegrator or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this movie takes a different turn where it's like told through a flashback after the scientist's death. So we know starting out, wink, wink, that the scientist is dead, and his wife is suspected of being the murderer. Well, and admits flat out to being the murderer. And there's a mystery element that unfolds throughout the story. I think this story is equally unique to the Cronenberg Fly. I mean, I can't think of another movie where this is the fucking plot. So I guess if I'm gonna just be honest and go in guns blazing, I would give this a 5 for a story, or right out of the gate. And I mean, at what point do we talk about the ending?
Well, whenever you want, because I have things to say. I was going to bring that in the it factor specifically, because the line from that is pretty legendary.
Yeah.
So
I'll wait then.
I was going to bring that up in the it factor.
I'll hold off on that then. But yeah, man, very unique story. And the Cronenberg Fly deals with body horror, and I don't know, just from memory, how existential it really gets. I guess to a degree, because Goldblum is like, document my transition and the end of basically what he thinks is like going to be the end of his life, and it turns into documenting this new creature he's becoming. This movie gets pretty existential too, which I wasn't expecting from a 1950s movie. I don't know why. It's not like existentialism hasn't been around longer than the 50s, but I guess, and this is something
it's unique to the 80s.
Right. I barely remember this movie. I've seen it before, but I just that was something I did not remember, or probably didn't even catch when I saw this, years and years and years ago. But dope, man. Very dope story. I'm glad that Cronenberg did what he did to the source material, but I got to give it to these 50s fucks. They did the thing.
And I was harsher on this movie. I'm going to be honest. I own this movie. I love Vincent Price. I went through my Vincent Price phase, but yeah, this one, there's a reason why I didn't remember watching it. So the story is, I guess it's fairly unique. It's actually based on a short story from Playboy.
Yeah.
I found that out. Out of a Playboy magazine. The movie was made less than a year after its release in the Playboy magazine. So, they really did read it for the articles. But Guys, I'll be honest. I did not feel like this had quite the depth in the story that the remake does. And I don't want to compare it and have that affect its score. But when I'm watching this one, I got through and through sci-fi horror B movie. B movie. So we talked about the other one was horror. And yeah, many people can say the remake is still a B movie, I guess. But it's so much better than a B movie. This one reminded me of a lot of those old black and white, like just random thing happens to a scientist who's messing around and, you know, it's shocking and terrifying and the end. So I wasn't overwhelmed by this story, and I hate being super critical of it. However, I'll get into the plot or into the script more with my issues on this, but it reminded me of a Twilight Zone episode that was 90 minutes long. It was a minute long Twilight Zone episode for me. And it was fun to watch the original House of Wax with Vincent Price so recently, and this one. Two horror movies from about the same time period with Vincent Price, and they're so very different from each other. So this one, I gave the story, it was good. It was a 3 for me. It was a 3 for me.
I don't think that's harsh. I mean, that's fair.
Reasonable assessment.
Okay.
I guess I
feel like I'm harsh on this film.
Well, I guess we'll see how the rest of your scores play out. I guess because I compared it to the remake, and look, 1950s sci-fi horror is not my strong suit. I haven't seen many of them, so like I was kind of impressed that they pulled this off. But it's all the other factors that we're going to get into that play into it. So we'll get there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of on the same wavelength with Tim here on that. I mean, it just seemed kind of typical for the time period of a lot of, you know, the sci-fi horror, scientists gone wrong with an experiment and something involving a bug or some crazy shit like that. So it was cool. I liked the build of the story and how they did that whole thing with the flashback after, you know, seeing pretty much it's close to the end of the film already at the start. But I think a 3 was pretty fair. I'm cool with that.
So then on to the next category, into our character and their story arc. Where are we at on the particular arc of the characters in this?
When it comes to the scientists, who I'll start with him. I mean,
Okay.
The movie starts with him dead. So like throughout the course of the movie, we as the audience get to see him alive. That's already like a plus for him. He's alive again, and he's whole again, even though it's a flashback. I get it, but you know, haha, joke. I like the guy's altruistic nature, that he wants to, you know, create this thing and help mankind. And he even has this one speech to his wife about like how this is going to help humanity. But then, similar to the Goldblums, he goes, you know, down the path of, oh shit, I done fucked up and got my DNA all intermingled with this fly, and now I got to hide underneath a towel so my wife doesn't have a conniption fit. And who would blame her, you know, because we do get that reveal. And he tragically
do.
Yeah. And, you know, for 1958, it still looks pretty cool to me. I'll be honest.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, tragically, he does sacrifice himself but it's to help prevent any further shenanigans with this new technology that he's invented. Goldblum didn't do that. So the character didn't necessarily, like, he stayed altruistic. I guess he didn't really have much of a he didn't change much other than physically. He seemed to stay himself. The wife had to deal with all of this, and her character arc sucks because, you know, she loses her husband. She's not framed for murder. She's being arrested for murder, apparently going to be put in a loony bin. That's tragic. It's tragic. So it's tragic, kind of like the remake, no matter what.
Rightfully so. If I'm coming around telling you that my wife's head was replaced with a fly's head, and that the other fly flying around the house right now, you got to save that because that's the only way to bring my wife back. Yeah, put me in a loony bin. That gets a little nuts.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I don't know who else really has much of an arc. I guess the investigator and Vincent Price as the scientist's brother, they go from, you know, not believing to believing, but they're kind of just there. They're not really doing much other than being sort of a conduit for the audience, or what's the proper word? They're like the audience, sort of, you know, going through the motions of the story. So I guess overall, I mean, because I like the arcs of I like the tragedy of it. I don't know. I don't know really how to give this a score. Like, I don't want to give it a 5 because it feels like I'm just going to like, oh, 5, 5, 5. I don't know, but see, I don't know if I have a problem with the arcs either. Except for yeah, fuck it, man. It's a 5. I don't see a fault, so I'll just give it that, and maybe if I change my score later, we'll see, but I don't know. So there it is.
Okay, you go with how you feel. That works. So my problem with these arcs is I didn't feel that they were overly compelling. So I didn't feel like they were super powerful arcs. And I do think I know the reason why. I'll get in later. I'm not sure I understood his motivation to put himself in for this one.
Oh,
it wasn't like he made the cat vanish.
You didn't see that scene where he got really drunk and jealous?
Yeah, exactly. No, I didn't. I missed that scene. I missed him rambling about the flesh for 30 minutes trying to get the flesh correct.
This is the flesh, baby. Huh? Yeah. You don't want to get disintegrated and reintegrated, huh, baby?
Yeah. So I didn't understand why he did it. He lost the cat, and then he had some successful, and then I guess it was like, okay, I had some successful hamster ones. Mm-hmm. So I'm next. And okay. So I didn't understand the compelling motive. He mentioned the same thing. I noticed he mentioned the same thing Goldblum does about transportation and how it's going to help people. So that's good. I didn't feel like his motivations for doing it were as powerful, and not that Goldblum's drunk and jealous powerful, but he was obsessed with a successful flesh trial. And I didn't feel that obsession quite as much with this guy. And then I did not like the character of Helene, if I'm going to be honest. I was very intrigued. I was very intrigued in the beginning when she put him in the press. Okay. Hooked. And then it took us half an hour for her to start recapping what happened.
Why was she hesitant to tell? Well, because they think she's crazy, but I mean, that's your only out. What was the deal with that? Yeah, you got me kind of wondering, like, why would you not just tell them, as ridiculous as it admittedly sounds? But, and throughout the movie, she is obsessed with catching that fly, right? Because she wants to show them.
The whole movie.
Yeah.
So much of the movie is chasing the fly with the white head.
I like when she starts screaming though, like whenever that fucking, I guess it's the maid or whoever's in the room, and she's like, just can't help me. Let me see it. Let me see the fly. No, me and Jonathan were just talking about the cat moment where the cat's meowing through space. And I was like, that got cosmic, because I didn't expect the movie to show me gore, you know? So I didn't think he was going to go run over to the other pod and see like an inside out cat. But what it did instead, I was equally happy with. I was like, that's kind of cool. That's a neat way to, like, his cat is just atoms now. Why is it still got meowing capabilities? I don't know, but
It's the ether cat, bro. It's the ether cat.
This is I love these conversations. I'm totally fine if the episode takes this direction. uh, yeah. So what was I saying about? Character arc.
You were shitting on Helene a lot.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of her. Yeah. I liked that beginning, that kind of tragic phone call of I killed him. And that was the coolest part of her character moment for me, because the rest of it was just sobbing uncontrollably, and that's not fair. That's not how the rest of it went. But then she just murdered her husband. So because she saw what he became, I guess it's pretty tragic.
You don't like whenever her and the scientist, what's his name? The character's name? I keep calling him the scientist. I know her name, but not his. Andre. You don't like whenever Andre and Helene are just like going through the motions of him explaining what's going on, and he's like, I'm a fortunate man and I'm a fortunate woman, and then they go on their little cute date to the ballet, and none of that was good. No,
it wasn't working for me. It wasn't working for me.
All right.
Yeah, man, I was not as invested in these two characters as I was in the two characters from the newer version. So it's weird to call a movie from the 80s the newer version, but in this case it is.
I want to say I agree. I agree with you, Tim. Like even if I'm giving shit 5s right here, it's like you might as well say 5 plus 5 for the remake in these categories for me. In these two particular ones. So we'll see where it goes from there. But like so far, remake is winning out. But I did enjoy the OG. I'm sorry to interrupt. My bad.
No, you're here because we want to hear your thoughts. I actually don't mind interruption. I want like open conversation, so I'm cool with it. For me, it was a 3. I thought their arcs were good. I just felt like they weren't as fleshed out and deep as they needed to be to make this next level. It was great for a B movie.
You're still not being harsh,
sci-fi
though, man.
horror B movie.
I'm expecting 2s or something when you say that you didn't like something, but like giving it a 3 is to me like the other side of average.
The bottom end of good.
Well, or is it you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the bottom end of good. Well, I'm gonna there are 2s in my score.
Shit.
So they are coming. All right, so Jonathan, where did you fall in the character arc?
Well, I mean, you guys are right. There's not a lot to go on for arc with most of these people. For largely it's just kind of lacking for sure. Like when you were talking about with that lack of build up for Andre before the mishap with the experiment, I don't know. I kind of get the sense that there is a little bit there because of his direct obsessiveness with the project and how he just kind of brushes off Helen, at random, even after just having like these brief, deep, intimate moments together, and then boom, just right back in it, not really hearing anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes out, he's got this big breakthrough, it seems, and they have that big date night as like that one last night, one good night together in case something bad happens when he tries this on himself. So I feel like that
I didn't look at it that way, but
there is that buildup, I think, in that way for it before he loses his shit. But then after that, you don't really get too much more out of it from any kind of development with him as a character until it gets more towards the end and he starts really playing on the fly part, trying to take over.
Yeah.
Before he decides he needs to end everything. And even then, it's like it's hard for it to come through because there's no speech, no audible end to him after that. And it's all typewriter and the 1 and 1 2 knock system for yes, no to kind of communicate anything. So it seems like you lose a lot in translation there versus how you see the decline and the morphing, in the 80s version with Seth Brundle, as he becomes Brundlefly.
Yeah.
So I mean, I kind of miss on that as far as how the character develops, but he still gets to a point where he realizes this isn't going to work. They can't find this shit. This little bastard ass fly that's got half of me, and just like this is going to be what's best, just to avoid all the bullshit, and finally just ending it all, and letting Helen just put the press on him. So there's a bit of an arc there that I think more than is realized, but everybody else really falls flat with the exception of Helen, maybe. Because she's it's weird how she's so in having like her faith in Andre and then taking him just direct on what he wants from her, and her being like she just killed her husband, but it's like she doesn't really seem like have that much in the way of remorse. I mean, you can tell that you got her doped up a little bit through part of it, after the fact, while trying to ask her questions, whatever. But I mean, it's just weird.
I think the reason.
Do you think she believed that she only killed the fly parts, and that if the body could be reunited with the fly in the thing, he'd come back? Because they're still looking, or are they still looking for the fly just to prove that she's not insane? Because they only smashed the fly head and the fly arm.
That's a good question.
Was there some kind of unexplained hope that she could still put them back in and his head would reattach to his body?
I don't know. They don't explore it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just, like I said, it's weird with her character, how she just kind of goes direct with whatever and anything. And that kind of sucks. And then she goes through this whole thing with her acting like she is crazy in order to somehow protect her son. Like, how's it really protecting your kid? And then finally getting that vindication of what she's talking about is real after she explains everything, to Francois and the inspector. And, her getting that vindication that she's not crazy, but still, after the fact, she just seems like she's okay. Like, whatever. I don't really care about what just happened, that my husband is fucking gone forever.
I was gonna say the reason that she's so like chill is because it was the 50s and like, dude, the prices of everything was amazing, and America was just chugging along real good. So she's like, I just murdered my husband, but even the loony bin's gonna be better than 2024's rent. I'll tell you right now.
My wife was sitting there watching it, and she's like, what is going on? They have a maid. She doesn't work. He's just in the basement all day doing his science projects. Like, what does she do with her life? And my wife's like, honestly, I want that. That's
the Montreal, Quebec life, bro, at the time. Yeah.
Where is Bailey? Bailey didn't want to talk about the Fly original?
She hated this movie. So she didn't want to sit in on it.
Oh, damn.
Okay.
Yep.
Damn.
But
yeah, I asked her, I was like, you're not recording. Are you recording with us tonight? And she's like, no, I hated that movie. I was like, okay.
Nice.
Before it's over, would you be able to get her to come in and tell us that she hates it though?
Probably. She's in her pajamas already, but she'll probably come in and do it. So
if she I'll give her if she gives us her final fucking score on it, bury this movie, Bailey, bury.
She'll probably just give it a big, big finger, just like whatever.
I'll hear her come up. Yep. All right, Jonathan, we cut you off before you got to your score.
It's all good. Also, with it being Vincent Price, who's coming up at the time, like his character Francois, like I wish there would have been more from him. The lack of concern for his brother, kind of sucks. But I mean, I guess they're super chill and lax like that in the 50s in Quebec. I don't know, successful people and all, and having more money who knows what to do with whatever. So he's out being a rich playboy, whatever. But yeah, aside from that, I'd give it a 3.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned his brother's just chill and relax about his brother's death, but so is the son.
Yeah. Well, Philippe doesn't really know what's going on. Everyone's keeping him in the shadows for it, the son, just being weird around him,
which is unfair. But the son's just like goofy the whole movie. So after the character, we have the music and sound design for this one. Music and sound design.
I
Oh,
mean,
there it is. There it is.
well, it just nothing particularly stood out. The music works with whatever the scene's calling for. Sound design wise, I can only point to the cosmic cat meow as far as like something that I remember sound design wise from the movie. Since it just did its job to me, I'm gonna go ahead and give this the middle of the road 3. I don't, there was nothing there that, yeah, nothing stood out. So I'm gonna accept the cat meow. So it's gonna get that 3 for the cat's meow, man. Cosmic cat meow all day. But I do like the sound effects for the transmitter, but that's just, it just seems like stock sci-fi noises or whatever. There's nothing really.
Yes, and I think I like it for that vintage feel. It's that vintage sci-fi stock sound. It's fun, but it's not remarkable.
Right. That's where I would fall with it. I'll just give that the score and the sound design a 3. I'm sure there's going to be some fucking 50s nerd out there who's like, the knocks on the table were recorded immaculately. Did you know that they mic'd that 5 different ways? Under the table, over the table, there was a camera hidden in the fly's asshole. I'm like, or a microphone rather. I'm like, okay, dude. But
well,
yeah,
actually, yes. Yeah. I'm always struck by, so when we did House of Wax, I also have to compare it to that Vincent Price movie from the same decade. The music in that movie was gorgeous. The music in the original House of Wax is beautiful. This had some good music, but the majority of this film has no music. There is some, but I was struck by how silent most of the background sounds are. They kind of lean into those sci-fi effects for sound, and it works. It's just not remarkable. We get some good opening credit music that it goes from horror to kind of cutesy and romantic, I guess, but then it's over. And I didn't really hear those themes come back in the film in a way that was remarkable. Like you said, the cosmic cat thing, when he vanishes that cat and we just hear it echoing in space, that was cool. I thought that was clever. I wish it would have like come back to haunt him later in different parts.
Yeah, dude, that would have been awesome.
Got the towel over his head,
like the telltale heart.
Yes, and he hears the cat because he just absent-mindedly like, oh, you want some milk, cat? I'm gonna disintegrate you and reintegrate you right now, because you're just picks him up like totally unprompted.
Does anyone remember the cat's name? Because the cat's name is epic.
I don't.
Dilla something? Dilladin?
It gave me, so there's a book series by Stephen King called The Dark Tower. And there's a character in that story that has the same name as this cat. And I was like, hell yeah.
Dandelo, that's what it is.
Right.
I was like,
because I was like Dandelion. That's what it reminded me.
Dude, Dandelo is such a badass fucking name. And little
Stephen King named it after this.
I hope so, dude. Probably. Like he might have, because he's a horror nut. Yeah. I just for little Dark Tower trivia out there, Dandelo is the same species as Pennywise. Same creature type thing. Yeah.
Crustacean spider?
Well, interdimensional beast from the fucking void, like whatever. I forget what Stephen King calls his void, but he's got this void area in his universe. And that's where those things bazing. That's where those things reside in his ass.
Way up in the butthole.
Help me.
Get out of his butthole.
All right, so I get music and sound design a 3. The only other thing I really remember was him slurping his food every night and putting his towel over. That was it.
Oh, dude, that scene where he's like trying to pull that steak apart with his one hand, but then he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna use my fly hand too. Yeah, stabbing the steak, ripping it. Like, damn, poor Andre.
It's like wrapping it around his fingers to shred it. Yeah.
I just think it's weird he asked for milk with brandy in it. Oh, that seems kind of rough.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
What the fuck were they doing, man? Why were they doing that?
Just
Brandy
a
milk?
glass of milk with a bunch of sugar in it, maybe, but whatever.
Yeah, brandy
But, yeah,
milk.
milk and
What
brandy.
the fuck? Is that a thing?
I have no idea.
Is that
Maybe it's a
is that a
French
50s
Canadian thing.
remedy for something? I'm gonna
Gross.
brandy.
When I was a kid, or rather growing up, I found out later that like something that parents would do, like let's say like a child had a toothache or something like that, baby, you know, crying, they would dip their thimble, or no, not thimble, that's for sewing. What's the thing on a bottle? The nipple?
Nipple?
Yeah, but
Dip a nip.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like there's a different word for the thing on a bottle. I've had 2 kids. Anyway,
Spout.
they would dip it in whiskey and then feed the baby the milk with the tip dipped in whiskey. That way, it's not
A
crazy.
towel. Sometimes you use like a rag or something. You could do that.
Is that a thing too?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Wasn't
like
that like a cough remedy? Old-fashioned cough remedy?
I think it's just if a baby was upset, like they were hurting something, and you didn't have medicine or whatever, but you got
Like if
whiskey.
they're teething. Yeah,
Yeah,
it helps numb it out.
And it's not going to get them fucked up or nothing, but it just, like you're saying, it's just going to chill that out. So we didn't do that with our children because we had medicine, but
Get your babies drunk.
I'm not hating on the old ways. I'm just saying we didn't do that shit. But it probably got done to me, like for real.
Parenting tips on the average.
Yeah.
Things your
Outdated.
parents won't admit they did raising you.
Yeah, outdated parenting tips. Courtesy.
Don't drop your baby on its head.
We don't recommend these, but they have been done. So apparently there is something called brandy milk punch cocktail that is brandy, milk, and vanilla.
No, I'm good.
I would try
some recipes call for like sugar in it or powdered sugar.
Well, maybe it's not too far off from eggnog,
basically
I guess.
brandy and milk.
Like an eggnog brandy, just
right.
Yeah.
Oh, I love eggnog. So
yeah.
shit.
Fuck.
I would,
all right, maybe I'm being crazy. Maybe that is okay.
Because it does seem gross, right? Like just the thought of it, but
just milk and brandy, but eggnog, different story.
Because like I'm me, and I will try pretty much any sort of ingestation, if that's a word, of something once. I would definitely try the cocktail. I wish I could vouch for it. Maybe Tim, that should be something that y'all do at some point. Do some sort of milk and brandy cocktail, for one of the movies.
Tomorrow night's episode, Jonathan and I will start it out by trying milk brandy shots and see if it's any good.
Oh shit!
Probably not. I don't have time.
I got a little cash to waste. I can go buy a small bottle of brandy.
There you go.
I got a gallon of milk in the fridge.
You seen the guy on Instagram? I don't, because I'm lactose intolerant, so mine would have to be like coconut milk. There's a guy on Instagram who just mixes, like every vid he'll do mixing. The last one I saw was mixing Jaeger until I like it, and he mixes it with everything.
Ugh.
And then he always
Bad
has like
memories,
some
flashbacks.
punchline about what happens.
We used to call
he mixed the Jaeger with ranch dressing.
No, dude. No, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah. I'm gonna send it to both of you.
We used to call Jägermeister the man drink because you had to be a man to drink it because it's so fucking nasty. And besides a Jaeger bomb, what's that?
I love the taste of a Jaeger bomb. I think a Jaeger bomb tastes delicious.
I was gonna say
that was my
besides a
early
Jaeger
20s
bomb.
to a max.
Yep.
In it, dude, early 2000s, Northwest burbs of Chicago, Chicago in general. Everyone was just Jaeger bomb, Jaeger bomb, Jaeger bomb, Jaeger bomb, Jaeger bomb, Jaeger bomb, Jaeger bomb. Blah.
Besides a Jaeger bomb, which I can enjoy, Jägermeister straight, brother, that needs to be fresh out the freezer, and it has to have been in the freezer for like 8 hours. I can take a shot or two. Anything after that, if you let that bottle sit there outside that fucking freezer,
No, don't do it.
guys,
Don't do it.
I had some friends one time that had they had I guess it was a fifth. I don't know. It's the big bottle of Jaeger, not the pretty big.
The handle.
Yeah. they were like, we don't want this. We know you enjoy booze. You can have it. And I was like, well, I don't have anything else. I'm going to watch Angry Video Game Nerd tonight and get drunk off this Jaeger.
Oh, man.
That is the last time I've ever drank Jaeger straight. And the year was 2000 and I want to say 9 or 10, somewhere around there. Yeah. Bad memories.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't puke. I did not puke. I woke up the next day just horrible. I drank the whole thing in one night. Like in probably like a 4 or 5 hour span. I drank the whole motherfucker.
Ooh.
Oh, you know what? No,
Damn,
no.
dude.
It was 2011 because I had just lost my mom. And that's where that was going. I was like drowning my sorrows, as they say. So yeah. So thanks, Jägermeister. You came in clutch. I enjoyed watching AVGN that night, but didn't enjoy the next morning. Not at all. No siree, Bob.
Shit, I think a little
You are
time
the
after
only-
that, around about, like I was working at Buffalo Wild Wings bartending, and I met this dude that worked there, Matt. Me and him became really good friends, and he was all about that Jaeger life. He had his own dispenser machine in his living room, and one night we just kept doing Jaeger bombs all night, and I got to the point where I was up all night and I drank myself sober. It was ridiculous. I've never had that happen before. But I was like, okay, well, I'm not tired, but I'm just going to go home, like, whatever. And it's just like 10 in the morning. Like, yeah, I'm fine. Whatever. Cool. Never again. No.
How does that happen? How does someone, I mean, I know this is not the time or place to get into this conversation, but I want to pose this question to the average audience. And please, when this episode drops,
this is getting trimmed.
Oh, yeah. When this drops on social media, I want y'all to hit up Tim and Jonathan and let them know, because I want to be informed as well. Have you ever drank yourself sober? And I'm not going to Google this. I want the audience to please explain, how is that even physically possible? Because I've also done it. And it's a bizarre feeling to be drinking, you're drunk, and then you slowly sober up and you're still drinking and you're just like, oh, well, that's over.
Yeah, it's odd.
Yeah. Let us know, the average, on Facebook and Instagram and all the places. I don't know all of them, but yeah.
Yeah.
All the media.
I want to know. I'm curious about this. I want to hear stories. Travis, you're the only person I've ever heard who has somewhat of a Jaeger hangover story.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it was brutal. I mean, I don't know. Like, I probably didn't eat that night, which was typical at the time. And like I said, I was dealing with going through the grieving process. Alcohol is not the way to turn when you're grieving for somebody, but a lot of people do. I did. I probably drank myself silly for about 3 months. Not every night, but most nights. And then decided one day that was enough. I did it. It's over. But yeah, that Jaeger night was hellacious, man. The next morning was, rather. I went to bed fine that night. I was having a bed. I was like, yeah, this is awesome. I hate the taste of this licorice shit. But yeah, not a fan of black licorice. And to me, Jaeger tastes like black licorice. Hate it.
Oh, it does. Yep. I agree. Jonathan, actually get your score for music and sound design. Did you talk about it yet? No. All right. Travis and I were three.
We went on a tangent about Jaeger and drinking.
Somehow. It was
that damn brandy milk.
Yeah, the brandy milk.
I mean, I liked the intro credits music. It was very theatrical, and I liked that. It was kind of cool for kind of setting a tone for the drama. Then getting to hear that buzz of the fly at the start, it's like, oh, flies right away, versus in the 80s version where it takes forever before a fly finally pops up, like we mentioned before. But other than that, the sci-fi sounds of the equipment and everything, that was cool. The sucking versions of it, sucking on his brandy milk of grossness. But other than that, everything else is pretty much, there's nothing really remarkable about the rest of it. You get to hear the sound of that press as it's coming down.
Oh
which is
yeah.
kind of cool, getting
Yeah.
those industrial sounds there. But other than that, it was just kind of a whatever thing.
Watermelon popping.
Yeah. But it was cool. It was okay for what it was. So I gave it a 3. It's whatever.
Can we mention that real quick too? That the beginning of this movie does start with blood. There is blood visible
on the
film.
press.
Yeah. That
I was genuinely shocked at how much blood they showed.
Yeah, me too. Like I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. It set the tone for a different movie. I was like, oh man, and this is intense. What are we getting into? And
you almost expect Inside Out Cat later, but you don't get it.
Man.
I thought there would be like a smear of blood or something, after what they showed us. But no, that leads perfectly into our editing and special effects as the next category, because that blood kicks it off.
Yes. Good segue. The blood does kick it off. Editing wise, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the title sequence. I'm a big fan of a good title card and a good title sequence. I don't mind if it's playing while the movie starts, and like that's fine when they do that too. It's just I like it when it's catching my attention. This one caught my attention, and you mentioned earlier the music during it. So all of that for the title sequence, really cool. The blood on the fucking hydraulic press, really cool. Editing wise, this is the 50s. I'm not expecting anything insane, and the movie was serviceable when it came to how it was edited. I don't remember, like, and I'm not a film expert as far as the techniques of filmmaking go, but I don't remember dolly shots or anything like that. Maybe they didn't even exist yet. I don't know. But serviceable camera work and what the editing was doing there. And special effects wise, I mean, look, that cool, cheesy 1950s glow effect on the transmitter was cool with that sound effect as I like how tonight's word is it's remarkable, not remarkable, unremarkable, not stand out, but like still cool. And I guess you could, it's sound part of the sound design, so I can't really bring in Cosmic Cat Meow there, but I'll say that the fly man effects with the fly claw for an arm, the head, and that lends to a category we're going to get to in a little bit, I'm sure, the performance of the wife's reaction, but the reveal of the fly man. He doesn't have a cool Brundlefly name in this movie, but I guess he's Andre Fly or whatever. I thought that was really neat for the time. And I would like, if I filmed this, if I made this movie, I would be super proud of this movie. Okay. I'd be over the moon with this movie. And that goes to the special effects. At the end, we get the scene we'll talk about when it comes to the it factor, but that was really cool. I enjoyed it.
You can bring it up now. It's a good time. Okay.
Well, to save it mostly for the it factor, I enjoyed the puppet work and whatever filming techniques they did to get that spider as close to the scientist's head on the fly body as possible while trapped in the spider web. I thought it was neat. And also kind of low-key horrifying. Like, fuck that, man. I wouldn't want to be in that situation. I was watching it like, well done, 1958. Well done. But all that being said, it's nothing that's gonna, like, I'll remember some of this for sure because of how memorable some of it is, but there's a lot of it that's not super memorable to me. It's just gonna be there and it's fine. I'll give it a 4 only because of the stuff that will be coming up later. I don't know if I should bleed one category into the other, but I feel like for this moment, it's necessary. So I'll give the editing and special effects a 4 for 1958 standards. And I don't know a lot about 50s horror movies or sci-fi movies. I've seen maybe 2 handfuls in my whole life. It's not my expertise. So take that, take my rating with a grain of salt. But watching this movie for this podcast, now compared to the fucking remake,
Right.
I mean, come on, dude. I know y'all rate all these things 1 out of 5 for these categories. The remake in this category is a goddamn 10 out of 5. But yeah, so like take that for what you will. But for 1958, I'm gonna give this a 4, like fucking solid, man. I enjoyed it.
So that's a good point for me to bring up. Like the way I kind of look at fives is timeless, and the 80s Cronenberg remake has timeless effects that today look fantastic. This one, like you said, well done 1950s. It's fun. It is cool to see like what they did with what they had. And in the same way it is to like watch old like Lost in Space or Star Trek. It's enjoyable and cute. I was impressed with the fly head. I thought the fly head looked really good. Really, really good. I was thoroughly impressed with that. Honestly, the claw less good, but still good. But overall, man, the fly makeup, head, and costume, it was incredibly detailed for that time, but it was apparently very uncomfortable, which I could definitely believe. So he didn't like wearing it, especially for the close-up shots.
Well, he only had to do it like a handful of times, right? In the movie. Or
yeah, there really wasn't that much of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that the actor himself under the prosthetics, or was that like
that's what it says?
Oh wow, cool, good,
Yeah.
good.
Yep. So I did give it a 4 because I was impressed with the fly. I even thought that the cutting of the disintegrator reintegrator, having things vanish, flashing lights, whatever, it wasn't special, but it was well done.
Yeah.
So,
how about the destruction?
Timeless.
The destruction of the lab. I don't know if this is special effects, but it's stunt work. It's the set being destroyed. Like that whole sequence was pretty cool. Like I liked it. Yeah.
Yep. The biggest thing that I couldn't get over, though, that really hurt me, and it took me out of the last scene with that. I wanted to get into the puppetry, like you mentioned. The puppetry was good. That stuff was good. But when we pulled back and we're looking at Vincent Price and the police officer, and we just have this giant plastic spider on this spider web of yarn.
I like that, though. I like it. I do. All right, and this is for the average listeners who don't know the Nightclub. We talk about horror movies mostly. We've delved outside of it a little bit, Sword and Sorcery, and maybe some other movies that are like action oriented or whatever. But I like all sorts of movies. I like everything from Hereditary, right, to fucking Troll 2, right? So like, and I can appreciate it for right. And so like when it comes to something that cheesy and out of left field, like so far the movie had better special effects than that moment. But when I see it, I can't help but smile and be like, they look at what they're doing. I like that. And it works with the movie to me. So just, for the listeners, I compare myself often to Roger Ebert, except for his taste in horror. He was harsh on horror movies. I'm not, but he seemed to like a lot of movies, even some movies that people didn't necessarily love. I'm kind of easy to please if I can tell there's conviction. Being like, if people really gave a fuck about what they were making, and it comes across, you sell me. I'm there for it, even if the acting's not the best or whatever. I can give something a better score than most people would, and I guess that's just years of watching all these different types of movies, and then also doing the podcast and talking to people, having good conversations with friends and guests. It just kind of opens up that part of you that you want to grade things on a curve sometimes. Darkness Falls, I'm looking at you fucking suck. You suck. That movie should have been better than it was, and they had competent people, competent everything, and they made a mediocre ass fucking movie. That's the one movie I always go back to that I'm like, you had a great idea and a great opening scene, a great cold open, and you just fucking shit the bed. Why did you shit the bed so mediocrity like Darkness Falls? Darkness Falls, everybody. Fuck that movie. Go watch it, but don't. No, I like the Rubber Spider. So yes,
All right.
it's just fun. It's fun.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay. I'm a 4. Travis is a 4. Jonathan, where you fall on this one?
Will, so I thought the editing was cool, like even in the parts where like the machine is go, ow, fuck my elbow. Ah, god damn. Bitch ass.
You hit your funny bone, bro. Damn. Oh no. Oh, he's Peter Griffin now.
But hell bastard. What was I saying?
Editing and special effects.
Yeah, so I like the cuts. You could kind of, if you're really paying attention, you could see the kind of transition with the effects when the machine does the teleportation thing, when the light flashes. You know, they cut that pretty decently. I think for the time, it's not seamless, but still done pretty well. I like the overlays, the colors, and all like the bright lights of all the fluorescent tubing that they got set up in all the transistor looking stuff. I thought was really agreeable. But kind of throwing back to sound though, like when you see Andre as his fly counterpart in the web, and you're hearing that help me, that little high pitched note. While Vincent Price, Francois sitting on the bench, like it looks like he's just kind of like off in dreamland, but you're not sure if he's hearing the sound or not, even though we all hear it, you know? But then just like how striking that is at the end, like during that whole thing with how they overlaid those shots. And like you said, with the puppetry of the spider, I like how he gets like closer and closer into the camera as you see that. So, it had to be a pretty big thing with the cameras at the time. Didn't really maybe have the best miniaturization, but even at during the intro tiles for the credits, when you do see that fly coming through the hole, I thought was, kind of really cool as part of that editing for it. But other than that, the special effects, I mean, the blood, like Tim was saying, that looked pretty cool. And it wasn't like that cheesy, bright red kind of blood. It was a little bit darker, and it had a little more, it looked like a little more thin, like more like blood viscosity would have, So I thought that was pretty cool for how they did that. I would have liked to see some kind of flattened bug action though for the parts of him, or with what happens with them wrapped up in the web at the end.
Yeah,
I would have liked to see some like little kind of shot of something smashed, But other than that, I thought it was decent for what it was. I think 3 is pretty fair. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Hell yeah. Dude.
Okay. All right. Into the script.
Oh yeah.
So not the story, but how the story is portrayed.
Again, I'm gonna, and I will tie it into the story. For me, I don't have a problem with this. I think it's a good script. If I'd have written this movie, God, I'm from Louisiana. If I'd have written it, man,
I wrote this movie.
I tell you what, Chai, if I'd have written this movie, I'd be so proud right now. I done made something of myself. I saw that clip from Deadpool Wolverine, by the way. I didn't see the movie yet, but I saw that clip of
oh, dude, so fucking awesome movie.
Channing Tatum. Fucking, because guys, growing up watching the 90s X-Men cartoon, and I'm from Louisiana, I'm not a comic book reader. Not for hate. I just never was one. I love comic books as a medium. I just didn't read them. But I watched.
I've got a fat stack over here on the shelf. You can't see that I have yet to read. It's like seriously a stack like this.
And I hope
Yep.
hopefully one day I find myself in that world. I would love to. I've read manga, but just never got into comics.
You want to know where to? You know the show Creep Show?
Yeah.
They have a comic book. It's fantastic.
Nice. Yeah, they're based on the old EC comics.
Structured. It's like a spiritual successor to it, but yeah, but it is. Do you have the Creep Show ones, Jonathan? So
I
they
don't
do it
have
by
any of
seasons.
those.
There's like 5 issues that come out. Okay. There's
Yeah,
like 5
all
issues
these
each
comic
year
books,
that
graphic
come out in the
novels.
5 months leading up.
Oh wow, that's
Oh,
cool.
Yeah. But the Creep Show, being a horror guy, the Creep Show stuff, season 3 is starting next month. It's a good place to jump on. It's fun. They're fun. They're fun stories. There's usually 2 per book. They're written by recent horror authors or script writers. It's pretty
This
awesome.
is all I have to
It's
read.
good stuff.
This
But not to interrupt your story on Gambit.
No. It's well, and but to harp on it for just a second, like because I do illustrate, and I always have since I was a kid. Like comics was something I naturally should have been into, and it's just something like my mom bought me a few growing up that we'd walk through, let's say your drugstore or whatever, Walmart, and you'd see the comics, and I'd be like, Mom, can I get this one? And back in the day, I mean, what was a comic? Like $1 something or whatever. So yeah, she'd get me one.
Right. Yeah.
I had a small stack, but I never followed stories, and I feel like I missed out on a lot of that with all these fans that are loving the MCU and the DC stuff. But I'm a movie guy and a cartoon guy, so I did grow up with those versions of all this before, the latest incarnation. But what we never got was Gambit done right. And I haven't seen the new Deadpool Wolverine film yet, but I did see a clip. Oh, I will. I'm not in theaters. I can't afford it right now, but I will definitely watch it because I'm a fan of the first 2, and I'm a fan of Hugh Jackman. Dude, my birthday. When that movie came out, X-Men came out, the first one, my birthday party was going with my friends to go watch X-Men in theaters. So, because I grew up watching the 90s cartoon and I loved Gambit. I'm like, Gambit's the best. He wasn't in the movies. I'm like, what the fuck? And then Channing Tatum showing up, and I saw the clip on Instagram of him being like, it's only polite if you ask to drink my liquor. And he's like, well, good thing I don't give a fuck, Wolverine says. And he's like, you couillon. And he throws that fucking card. And I don't know do y'all nightclub listeners are going to know this, but do y'all know what a couillon is?
I do not.
A couillon.
You explained it to me last time you.
Oh, okay.
But go ahead. Yeah.
For Jonathan and for the average listeners, a couillon is what the Cajun folk, which I'm Cajun, we call that's a silly person, a quote unquote dumbass. Just someone who don't know what the fuck they're doing, or it's like, look at that couillon. Look at him. Galify, that couillon. So yeah, to see Gambit was dope. Why did I go off on a Gambit tangent? Comic books.
Man, I don't know.
We're
talking about the script.
The script. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm trying to backtrack it too, but
yeah. I had I feel like I had a point with that one, but maybe I didn't. I'll give it this. The script is fine. Is it remarkable like y'all been saying? No, it's not remarkable. It's fine. I think it tracks with the story. That's what I was tying that into. Like the story, the script, it all plays together. It's all good. It's not as good as Cronenberg's script or whoever wrote the script for Cronenberg's movie. I don't remember if it was him or someone else. And I don't have that pulled up.
He wrote it. I'll double check.
Okay, you check on that. But like, and again, I'm not a 1950s horror sci-fi guy. Like that's not my area. 60s, 70s, basically after the 50s. I know a lot about. I know a lot about a little, or a little about a lot. I don't know, vice versa.
Stuff and stuff.
Yeah. So I'm impressed with it. I like the dialogue. And if the script had what it called for, like what they shot, I think that's very well done. I'll go ahead and give the script. Y'all don't do 0.5s, do y'all?
We have we've done some halvesies here and there.
Can I do a half?
Yeah.
I would give it a 3.5.
Just a half? You're just gonna give it half? Oh, what?
No, no. I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Oh, I want to tell the average listeners this too, for the folks that aren't seeing it on YouTube. My boy Tim paints his nails and he paints them black. And when I walked inside to grab a beer a minute ago, I told my girlfriend, I said, Tim's so fucking cool, dude. She's like, what's up? I'm like, that motherfucker paints his nails. And I knew this from a previous episode. I don't know if it was when you were on the nightclub or when we did another thing, but another average recording. But I was like, he paints his nails black and it's dope. She's like, you could. And I was like, I couldn't I?
Nothing's stopping you, bro.
Nothing's stopping me, dude. I think I'm gonna show up with them black fucking fingernail polish. Dude, I love it. I think it's so fucking awesome.
I'm getting hard right now.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. 3.5 for the fucking script. Right. There you go.
3.5 masts.
And a 10 out of 10 for Travis's black nails. So the 86 script was Cronenberg and Charles Edward Pogue.
Nice.
So the two of them wrote that.
Good. So
you gave it 3.5. The script is one of my biggest issues with this film. I have qualms with, I feel like it is two separate stories. I feel like we get a 45-minute to an hour Twilight Zone about this scientist who is mixed with a fly. And then we get that 30-minute lead up to it at the beginning that isn't, like, other than seeing the squishy goodness at the beginning, like, it's her in bed talking about the white-headed fly for 30 minutes. And then we get to the story of what happened. And we get to that story, and I just felt like I felt like part of this was an excuse to get Vincent Price in there because he was popular at the time, because he has almost nothing to do with the fly story itself.
This is your show.
It is all being told back to him later.
I don't want to.
There's one scene where he shows up.
Okay.
There's one scene where he shows up. But does he interact with the fly? That's what I can't remember.
No, not what at the beginning.
He never has any interaction with his brother after the transformation.
Yeah.
Well, hell, he didn't really have any interaction with it at all through the film, personally.
That's what I thought. And so I feel like we're bookended by Vincent Price, and the story itself is something like, I love Vincent Price, and I feel like he was wasted in this film and brought in to bring people who loved Vincent Price in. I want to watch Vincent Price turn into the fly. Sorry, that's what
this sounds like. This sounds like a personal grudge against the script, not so much a critique.
It's not, and it is both. But I feel like it was clumsy in the way it executed this. So. And I am impressed at the fact that Cronenberg and Charles Edward Pogue, what was his name? I'm terrible with it. Charles Edward Pogue, took one line and an idea from this film and made the movie they did.
Right.
That blows my mind, because they took one line of a man being in the pod with a fly and getting, like, fantastic. And that story just flows so nicely.
Well, this one, can I ask you this, Tim? Do you think that, though, let's say I'm hearing you on getting the Vincent Price because of the popularity. Valid point. I like, to me, I don't know. I know Vincent Price was hot shit back then. Like, so
Mhm.
there's, fair play. Get Vincent Price involved. It will give your movie marketability. But do you not think that Vincent Price had to read the same script where the story starts? Because see, I like that about the script where it starts as this mystery element, and then you get the flashback after the buildup. I thought that was cool. So me and you don't gel on this part of it. But do you think the script was written that way before Vincent Price ever read it? Like what?
That's what I don't know. That's where I am saying I feel like it wasn't working. Maybe there was a studio in there that was like, we need to get Vincent Price on board. How can we bring him into something that we've already mostly completed?
Oh, so you think they shot or were, shot like the majority of that film and then was like, let's bookend it this way.
Yes. And it feels like
interesting.
Yes, that is what I got from it. The other issue I had with the script is I feel like it spends a ton of time. And it feels like it probably doesn't. It probably doesn't. But I feel like they spend forever searching for this fly. And I'm being I'm being hyperbolic here, but it takes up way more time than necessary of people, because it happens 3 times. It happens at the beginning when there's a fly in her room with the detectives, and where's that fly? Where's that fly? Where's that fly? And then it happens in the middle of the story. Then in the middle, he sends that note about find the fly with the white head, and it's like it felt like 10 minutes of them running around the house. She recruits her son. She recruits everybody. The maid, go find this fly. And the maid's like, oh, it's just a fly. And she tries to kill a fly in the kitchen. And we have that. And then the end of the movie is like, you saw the fly? Yeah, I saw the fly. Well, I saw the fly. Then they go get the fly. So there was way too much of that for me. All of that, maybe I'm nitpicking. I feel like the script was padded to make it hit 90 minutes, to make it hit an hour and a half. I think it might even be shorter than that, but that's what I'm getting at. I feel like they took the story, padded it to run that length, maybe wrote some Vincent Price scenes in after most of it had been shot. Like we said, I don't think he interacts with his brother at all, other than the final scene.
Never in frame together.
And even that is cut. So yes, they're not in frame together. So that is where I come in on that. I didn't really dock it on the story for all this, but I'm going to I give it a 2 on the script. I think the script is okay. I don't think it's bad, but I definitely think it could have been better. Yep, I know. See, I told you I felt like I was being harsh on this movie. I came in. I think the script is just okay.
Yeah, there's that too. I got you.
There it is. There it is.
Okay, well, you know what? That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, man. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. It is what it is. For me, I actually liked the dialogue. I like how it's written, the exchanges, especially with Andre talking to Helen and his sense of hopefulness for the future and how he's explaining the science and everything that's possible. I thought was really cool. And I mean, I know, Seth Brundle, he had his own kind of take to that, and he got really spastic and crazy about, with evolving the flesh and all. So, I mean, this is very lackluster in contrast, but I liked that 50s scientific hopefulness for the future that kind of comes through.
I just had an idea, Jonathan, I have to share with you. What if he'd have been like, imagine, honey, you could take a shit into this pod and transport it away somewhere. Like everyone will be taking shits into toilets that have these transmitters in them that like teleported to some fucking island somewhere, and the natives there are just like, why is this shit pod keep getting bigger and bigger? Where's it coming from?
That'd be so twisted.
Dude, that's what entered my fucking mind when you were talking about the transmitter shit and his hopefulness for the future. Sorry, I did not mean to cut you off. That shit was in my head for a minute, and I'm like, God damn, I got to tell these boys.
I just saw your face light up, and you like trying to hold back and stifle a laugh, and I'm like, oh, no, what is thinking?
It's my stupid brain having stupid thoughts, bro.
Hey, I get them all the time, dude. It's okay. But aside from that, though, yeah, I really liked the amount of dialogue, how it's set up, even between Francois and the inspector, between Francois and Helen, and everything, and then especially through the whole story and like how there's just I just really liked it a lot versus what you kind of get now with the type of dialogue and all the like word vomit that kind of comes up between and a lot of stuff. But there were some fun lines too that I really enjoyed. Like when Francois and Philippe are sitting there having dinner at his place, and he's giving this kid watered down wine, and he's like, "This is really good." It's kind of goofy, but like,
Jonathan,
yeah.
What about that? It's the same scene. I laughed out loud at this. The kid says,
"It's gonna be what I was just about to say, isn't it?"
Okay, go ahead.
So they were talking about, how Helen's acting, and Philippe goes, "She changed her mind. You know how women are." And he's like, what, a little 10-year-old boy saying some shit like this is like, damn.
That's the 50s, bro.
Yeah. But still, I fucking cracked up pretty hard to that when I was like, damn, they really had to write that shit in there, didn't they? Like,
yeah, they did.
Typical for the times.
What the fuck? It was funny, though. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
It was funny. I laughed out loud.
It's a damn good part. But then also there was the part where they're out in the garden when Andre's kind of chilling after his kind of breakthrough situation. And was it, you're frightened by progress and I'm filled with the wonder of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a pretty sweet, solid line, especially after all the talk he's already had up to that point about the developments with this project for the future. So I thought that was pretty kick-ass. And even when they're talking about like between Francois and the inspector after finally seeing the fly and everything and how they're going to spin this, since now they know that she's not crazy as shit, I thought was cool. But that, although it kind of irks me, that last bit where Francois shows up to take Philippe to the zoo, and Mom said that you should tell me about, what happened with my dad, like why, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, dude, that bitch, she's going to pass the buck instead of like trying to say some shit to her kid. And then him having to be like, oh, your dad was kind of an explorer. And then Philippe being like, you know what? I want to be just like my dad. I want to be an explorer too. Which, of course, then you get, Return of the Fly later on, which, it's still kind of same with the remake's second, sequel for that as well, with the son carrying on dad's work kind of situation, which is cool. But
I didn't even know about that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but look.
What you got there, Tim?
He's got the Fly collection. That's Blu-ray, bro.
Yeah,
Return of the Fly, and then the Curse of the Fly.
We got the Curse of the Fly.
There's more?
We got
the
Fly, yeah. And then we got the whole 5-movie set.
Wow.
Shout Factory, man.
That is dope.
Shout Factory.
Shout Factory. Yep. Shout out to Shout Factory on the average.
Yeah.
But because of that, because of how it's written, I liked it and I enjoyed that a lot. So I gave it a 4 for the script.
Nice.
All right.
Delivery is a different story. But I like the script.
The extra step that I was scared to, Jonathan. I was scared to. So I'm gonna change it now. Now that now that Jonathan did it, I'm changing my score to a 4. 4.
I couldn't convince either of you to come down, but Jonathan convinced you to come up.
That's right. I'm coming up. I want to go up to a 4 now too. I'm there with him on the script.
Okay. I changed your score.
Yeah.
All right. Before we jump into the next category, I want to tell you a little bit about Zencastr. When I was preparing for our 13 Nights of Halloween series, I was really searching for a way to streamline the process. I wanted a professional looking setup to invite our guests to. I wanted
quality audio and video recording, and I wanted the easiest way to release the episodes to as broad of an audience as possible. This is how I landed on Zencastr. It is now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Just log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. And speaking of audio quality, have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you are thinking of starting your own podcast or just want to streamline what you are already doing, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code AVERAGECUSTOMER, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. That's average customer, one word. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all of my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. So let's dive into the next category.
So this takes us to the acting.
Yeah, very, very different when it comes to that delivery versus script. So get at it.
All right. Well, we'll see how we all differ on this one, because no problems. No problems. Look, I know it's a different style of acting in this movie. We're used to more realistic depictions nowadays of how people talk. And I get that. As much as I am a fan of that, I'm also a fan of, and kind of, it's like listening to Van Morrison. Van Morrison always made me nostalgic for something I never even experienced. Never even experienced whatever he's singing about, but it brings me back to something I didn't have. This acting style is something I did not grow up with. I didn't grow up watching these old movies, but when I see it, I can't help but be charmed by it and give it that leeway, especially when it's good like this to me. Like the interactions with the characters, the performances, I just don't see bad acting. I just see a style of acting. And you bring up Vincent Price a lot for this movie. Tim, speaking to you mostly here, I don't see him being a detriment to the film as far as his performance goes. Is he spectacular? No. Can he be? Yes. He's fine. And he's Vincent Price. He does carry a gravitas to him, even if he's fine. He's like one of our modern actors that we love, like a Nicolas Cage. He just has a certain thing that he brings, even if he's not going 100, you're still happy to see him. So I'm happy to see Vincent Price, but Vincent Price doesn't steal the show. Helene and Andre steal the show for me. They do a good job, in my opinion. Everyone else is more than serviceable. They're fine. They're to good, in my opinion. I'll give the performances, the acting here, a 4. Nothing is blowing me away, but I wouldn't say anything here is, no pun intended, average. Like there's no average acting. I think it's an acting technique of the time to over exaggerate, oversell, maybe say things in a way that, of a certain dialect that because they're all speaking with this proper dialect that Canada. Come on, dude. No one sounds Canadian in this fucking movie. Vincent Price.
No, I didn't get any of
the inspector, maybe. That's about it.
Maybe. And I didn't even pick up on that, to be honest. Just watching it right before the recording, I just didn't pick up on it. I was trying to focus on just the movie and like what I like about it, and maybe see what I didn't. And there was nary a thing I didn't like about this movie, and that might play into stuff later. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4, man. I thought the performances were good. It's 1950s. I don't. Daniel Day-Lewis is not part of this movie. Like, I don't know what to expect here other than being entertained, and I was very entertained by these folks. So good job to the actors from my vantage point.
Good. You just dropped nary in there like it was no big deal.
Well, I'm from Louisiana, Mamu, Louisiana. Look it up, everybody. I don't know what the fuck nary even means.
Oh, I do. I just don't hear it a lot. Kind of turned on right now.
Bro, we're gonna paint our nails black and talk and just whisper nary to each other.
Drop nary.
Yeah.
Whisper nary to me.
Not a nail nutter.
Whoa.
So comparing this one, I'm not even comparing it to the 1984 Fly for acting. I'm comparing it to the 50s House of Wax that we just recently watched, and seeing the differences in the performance there was kind of shocking to me, because we talked about the way they acted in the 50s House of Wax and how it was more of a stage performance than a movie performance. I didn't pick up on that as much in this film. And so I like hearing that you saw the 50s time period of it differently. So I did change my score. This was actually my second number 2, because I did not care for either of the leads. I thought Vincent did a good job with his part. I actually liked the police detective character's part. She is better than I remembered. I gotta admit that. So, but him as the Fly is where I had the biggest issue, because he just seems so dry about the whole thing. And if I'm gonna compare him to Brundle, he had like this manic obsession with his thing. And he was excited and he couldn't stop thinking about it. And this guy's just very calm and cool, like, oh, cool, I did this. I wonder what I can put in it next. And then, oh, the cat doesn't work. And then he just got to figure it out next. And
well,
I didn't.
He does have moments of contemplation, like when he shows his wife and then he reveals to her that what he did to Dandelo, and he walks over to the other side of the room, and you know, he's like dealing in his mind. You see through the body language, he's dealing with what he did, and he promises her no more live animals, and she's like insistent on that, like no more experiments on animals. That's some of the stuff that like got me into it more. And also her reactions for as of the time they might be, but dude, like even in modern horror movies, like people fucking go nuts whenever they see something they can't explain, with their brain can't comprehend. And I'm like, she sold me a little bit.
Okay. You wanna hear about that? I was headed there, but you led me into it. Did you know this?
What?
So
no, I don't know.
Her fear was genuine, because she had never seen the makeup.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really? They kept him covered around those scenes. She never got to see that Fly makeup until filming. And it showed. That is one of the strong points of this, is her fear reactions were great. So
that's dope.
And that's because they were genuine. And we already talked about in the special effects, they did a really, really good job with it. So I can see why she had that reaction. That's one of my favorite parts about it. So I did.
She's backing up out of the lab, like, and sobbing on the staircase, like, oh my God, my husband is this shit now. Like that is fucking. And I didn't know that. And that makes me think of there's been a lot of horror movies where they didn't want to meet, like Freddy Krueger, for instance. Certain films, the actors didn't want to see him in makeup, and then when they finally did, it was like, oh shit. And also the new It movies and the old It miniseries, they would keep on purpose the Pennywise character away from the kids to get that genuine terrified reaction. And
There's nothing like it.
no, it's so good. It's so good.
So you've convinced me. I'm gonna come up on the acting to 3.5.
Oh, nice. Hell
3.5.
yeah.
I don't think you can sway me to a 4 on this one. I have my issues with his performance, but she is better than she's better than a 2. So
Helene is dope. Helene is really dope.
Even if I
like
don't necessarily love the character, she does a good job. So 3.5 for me.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I made it through that whole thing without my internet dropping.
Yeah.
Now it's gonna drop, but if it drops during Jonathan's, just keep talking, Jonathan.
Yep. Well, for me, man, like you guys were talking about, the body language in the acting style for the time. There's a lot of that coming kind of like at a medium pace and then stopping short. That's like the big signature thing from acting in those times, is you see how they enter the scene, how they come up short and then start the dialogue, and how they're connecting. I don't know. It's weird, but it's okay when you think about the style for the time. Francois, though, man, like, for a dude who just lost his brother, you don't see much distress on his end. It just seemed really too light for me.
He's swooping in on Helene.
I was gonna say,
I was about to dig on her.
Yeah, dude, I think the reason is because he's in love with that chick. And the whole time, even though he lost his brother, they talk about it in the story, in the script.
With the inspector.
Yeah, that he like didn't marry her because she was fond of his brother and he let it go, but he stayed good friends with her. And I think that plays into his protection, because throughout the movie he's protective of her. He's like, she's not crazy, you're crazy, and all that. Like, I think that is, and I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying, I feel like that's why Francois, Vincent Price's character, for the audience, is not, I mean, maybe
he's not distraught.
I think he loved his brother, because he was happy to say that his brother would always show him his latest inventions. But I think he was so in love with Helene that he shifted gears emotionally towards protecting her over, and being at the time, and even some people now, you got to be strong for some people. You got to be strong. And this movie just didn't give us a moment to let him emote for his brother. But also, maybe he didn't give a fuck about his brother. I don't know. He might have been.
We
jealous.
don't know that family dynamic for real.
Right. I'm sorry, dude. I just, whenever you're talking and I jump in, it's not to interrupt. It's like I want to interject into the thought and have that conversation about it. So, and earlier Tim said, yeah, let's go full blown conversation. I know y'all go round table on this show. And on the night,
I want to get away from that.
I'm so hurt.
We go willy nilly. and so like, yeah. So if I do that, no, I guess I should stop apologizing. But please
don't be sorry. Be awesome.
Please continue, Jonathan.
We'd stop inviting you if we were upset by it.
Yeah, really. Come on, tease. But yeah, with Helen, man, like, I would have liked to see more. I mean, she did great with like the little bit of hysterics and everything, but I think there could have been more attention drawn on that. You can't really expect much from Philippe. He's just a kid, but I would have liked to have seen more inquisitive nature from him about what's going on, and maybe having like caught a speck of something without really understanding what it was, with like his dad being partially fly. I think that would have been kind of cool to get some kind of reaction in that way. But The end though with Francois and Inspector Charras though, when they finally come out and find the spider after Philippe's like, "Hey, son of a bitch is over here, come get it," you know. I was kind of pissed with like how Francois took his time kind of getting up the stairs to get the inspector though. It's like, dude, like this is some rushed ass shit. Like, let's fucking move your
Hurry
ass,
the
dude.
fuck up, yeah.
I know you're a giant compared to everybody in this film, but damn. And finally when they get out there, but like the delivery and them being like in shock and being like, holy shit, it's real. What the fuck? You know, and then like waiting to that last second till the spider gets there before Inspector takes that rock and it's like, whoa. Like, what can you really do?
Can I talk about that real quick too?
All right.
Why the fuck did he do that?
I know. Like, why the hell wouldn't you just gotten the spider out of the fucking way and saved that for some bizarre fucking science shit, you know, that people want to know
So
about?
we could have the last line. So we could have the Vincent Price line of, "You're as guilty of murder as she is."
But dude,
That's it.
Don't get me wrong. It's a great line. It's a great like, hey man, she killed the half fly man. You killed the half man fly. Awesome. It is awesome. It is awesome. Okay. All right. But
no, you're right. You're right.
Logically, why would you? Oh, it makes me mad. It makes me so fucking mad.
Panic mode, and how the hell we're going to explain this? Well, you know, it's kind of a messed up dig. It's crazy. And also, I
would have pulled out a can of Raid and
and a lighter. Yeah.
I would just fucking dump that Spider-Man like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, dude. Fucking throw that plastic bitch in the trees.
I mean, you show up and the spider is on the other side of the web from where he is.
And they just
on his
sit
little
there.
yarn setup.
They're like this. What's happening?
Yeah, that kind of pissed me off. Yeah.
Like, god damn,
his
dude.
one arm climb.
That was just so lame, I thought. But you know, what are you gonna do?
I like what Tim said though. It gives you that good ending line. I do like that too, though. So I don't know. I'm torn.
That shock punch at the end, you know, for the audience.
I feel like they could have set it up better.
I don't know how to feel.
I don't know how they could have shown it with their capabilities. Like they couldn't really have the fly half in the spider's mouth and he's already like done for, because it's going to be way too complicated for a movie this small to shoot.
Right.
But maybe they did the best they could with what they had.
But that tension of, and god damn it, we got to save this for the it factor, I think. But that tension of the spider coming, it's so good. It is so good though. All right. Sorry, Jonathan.
But it also, one thing that popped in my head though, what movie did they feature that scene in where he's going, help me, help me? Guy, I swear I've seen that in another movie somewhere when I was a kid.
I've seen it everywhere.
I think like me, you've seen this. And again, this is it factor shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think we'll talk about this because I'll talk about what you're saying as well. I think
I know I've seen that clip in like on TV screen from a shot in a closet in another movie.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Probably. I just can't remember the fucking name of it, but we'll get to that.
Well, I don't know I don't know the movie, but I know I think we'll dive into it.
All right. Well, either way, I gave the acting overall 3.
Nice. Yeah. Very fucking good.
Okay.
Love it.
Good.
Love it.
All right. The direction. Where are we at on this direction?
Who was the director? What's his name?
Let me check my notes. I had it.
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Newman.
Kurt Newman.
Kurt Newman.
That dude.
Look, man.
Seinfeld character.
Newman.
Jerry Newman. Looking at this movie again, I mean, like for direction's sake, it ties into the everything we've talked about so far. Like, I don't know what I would have fault with necessarily because it's 1958. I don't have a full grasp of the techniques they were capable of, what a budget would allow them to do. So I don't know what to. I'll be fair on this one. Like the direction. If you want to be groundbreaking, this movie's not groundbreaking. when it comes to direction. Now, how good of a job did the director do being a director, letting his cast do what they did, letting everyone do what they did on the set, from special effects to also later in post when you have sound design and score. I can't hate on this director. I'll go ahead and be nice and say a 4. I just don't know what to critique about it, that this fella could have done better based on his skill. I just don't know enough. So I can't really give it a different score. It's not a like I said, groundbreaking film as far as direction goes to me, but like it's very entertaining, more than serviceable. So I'm gonna give my boy better than a 3. Kurt Weller, what's his name? No, Kurt Weller's a voice actor. Kurt Newman. Randy Newman. He ought to write a song. Dude, if Randy Newman wrote a song about the fly, like, I woke up today, I saw a fly in my windowsill, and he's playing the piano. Kurt Newman, you get a 4 out of 5 from old T-Boo. There you go, bud.
Yeah. I don't want to compare him to Hitchcock. I tend to think of just the capabilities of how a film could be put together and how it could be made at that in the 50s. And even, not just this, but looking at House of Wax from the 50s as well. And
I cannot wait to hear the House of Wax original episode, because y'all seem to really like this movie.
I keep talking about it.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Honestly, what do we say this guy's name was? Kurt Newman?
Kurt Newman.
Yeah.
Well, what the hell?
What the hell? I don't know.
IMDb doesn't have any movies after 1977 for him.
Well, he might have stopped.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, after 77. Because he died in 58.
What?
Yeah.
How did he have a movie in 77, but he died in 58?
So it's Godzilla from 77, but he directed original material. So old material from black and white movies that was repurposed.
Aha.
But he died the year this was made.
Whoa. That's heavy.
That is kind of heavy. Now I can't say anything bad about it.
Give it a 4.
Kurt
Newman, R.I.P. It's a 5. It's a 5, Kurt Newman.
Yeah. This is his biggest film, The Fly. He did some things. He did his second biggest film, according to IMDb, is Rocket Ship XM from 1950. So he was more into the sci-fi Kronos from 57. Tarzan and the She-Devil from 53. He was in that lower budget arena of film.
Yeah.
He did a good job. There's nothing extravagant. I think it's smart of him to keep things like the fly makeup away from his lead to get a genuine reaction. That's some nice intuition there. There's nothing I can really complain about other than it's simple. Simple isn't always bad. So I give it a 3. I think it was a good direction. It wasn't bad by any means, but I'm not eager to go check out the next Kurt Newman film.
After I found out what you just said, I'm bringing my score up to a 5. Good job, Kurt Newman.
Because he died the year after?
Yep.
Okay.
5.
You'll make up for mine. That's okay.
I just want to give him that. I'm gonna give him that 5 out of 5 from T-Boo.
Okay. I'm sticking with the 3, but I adjusted yours. You're up to 5 for him. I'm
going with my feelings on this, right? It's all about feelings, and I feel exactly. Now like I want to give this man that.
Hey, Bailey.
Oh,
yeah. Here we go.
Travis wanted you to give your thoughts for the movie. Go.
It was very boring. I hated it. That's what I have to say.
That's fair.
Right.
Well,
Do a
Yeah.
little
So,
tapping on your sinus cavities. It'll help
thank you
loosen
for
some of that
the
up.
for the rating.
I told you. He asked like, "Where's Bailey on this one?" And I was like, "She hated it."
I finished crocheting my jellyfish, so.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Hell
Thanks.
yeah.
Good night. I'm leaving that in. That's going in.
Hell
Okay.
yeah.
All right, Jonathan, your thoughts on direction.
I don't really have too much to comment on for it. I mean, I like the way the scenes were set up. I like the lighting and how they had that set with like a lot of the lab and dark areas and like at the factory warehouse kind of stuff. I don't know. I mean, it's okay. There's those little small details that are kind of fun to pick out, like when like after the inspector and everyone's been by and everything, she's waking up the next morning. She's got you can see there's a bottle of sleeping pills on the side table. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So like she had knocked her ass out. Wait, no, that was right after she's like, everything goes to shit with Andre and he won't open the lab yet to let her in. And so like she's freaking out. So she takes those pills to put herself out, it's weird little things like that. I don't know. It worked for what it was. Like I said, I don't really have much to comment on direction. Yeah, 3.
Okay. That leads us to the big one. We've been talking about it all night. We've been talking about the it factor for this film all night because this movie has a surprising amount of it factor to it. So, Travis, kick us off with this one.
I have seen the like the arm reveal, the face reveal, the reaction from Helena, or wait, no, Helene.
That's a My Chemical Romance song.
I know. Yeah, yes, it is, dude. Fuck yeah, 10 out of 10. I've seen this throughout pop culture. It's if you watch a horror documentary where they're doing a broad sweep, if you watch YouTube videos where they're talking about horror movies and they have an intro, this shit is just in there. It's in there. I don't necessarily think this movie has a bigger impact than the remake. I don't. Not, yeah, I don't.
No,
But
I'm with you there.
but this movie still permeates pop culture a lot, even if people don't know what it's from. Now, I'll be fair on this one. I wasn't fair on The Fly, a remake. I was steadfast in my thoughts on it. But on this one, I'll be fair and say I think you got to be of a niche audience to see this, but maybe not necessarily. Maybe you were growing up and you were watching TNT or USA, and they showed you like a hey, later tonight this show is going to be on, and then they played clips from horror movies. You would see this. It would be in there. This is where, Jonathan, earlier, I think this is what I was thinking of when you were bringing up, like, you saw it somewhere. I saw it everywhere, bro. I saw the fly arm, the fly face, not from even seeing this movie. It's just there. It's there. Is it still there today? I wouldn't say as much as Cronenberg's The Fly, no, but it was there. It was there for a long period of time. And maybe going forward, it might be still yet again. We don't know what the future holds for like a retro revisit to classic horror movies. And being the 50s, 1950s, everybody, because we're getting we're in the 2020s, so we're getting close to the 2050s. So at some
We're
point,
approaching 75 years of this film. Yeah.
Jeebus.
we can't always say just the 50s and expect everyone to know what the fuck we mean. 1950s, this permeated pop culture for a long time. I saw it. I saw it. So I can't be as high as a 5 because I don't think it's as relevant now, but I can't go as low as a 3, and I'm going to give this a 4. I think this was there for all of us growing up. Anyone in between the ages of 45 to probably 30 would see a clip of this, maybe even 25, and know and at least be like, yes, I identify that movie. Or if you showed them the movie, they could say, oh, that's what that's from. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would put this in. So for those age groups, I would give that a 4 out of 5. Younger folks won't know, and they should know. Go back and watch this movie. It's worth your time. I think it's an hour 33. I mean, it's not
Real long. Yeah.
No, it's not. So I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 for the it factor. And that ending too, though. That ending, the help me, that is more terrifying than I think it really deserves. But I still was watching it and I was like, oh my God, I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, help this motherfucker, dude. Help him. And then they stone him.
They smash him with a rock.
Like it's biblical up in this bitch all of a sudden. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? You just squashed the whole narrative. That part is equal parts awesome and shitty for the movie.
Yeah. You touched on the help me, screamed by the dude at the end. That scene genuinely was the one time in this movie I was like, well, that was creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's not the greatest effects, but just that idea of it is kind of traumatic. But that line, that help me, became a pop culture touchstone and has been parodied in other movies, has been parodied in TV shows. I remember it in like kids' TV shows when they would be like, help me, you know.
Yeah.
I never knew it was parodying this, but now I do, you know, seeing it from here. The fun part about that scene, Vincent Price had difficulty keeping a straight face because of the voice that they used during that scene. So he had to stifle his laughter when they were filming it.
Wow.
The movie was also a huge box office success for the 50s. It made $3 million in the US alone, which was big for a B low budget movie. And then it's not really credited, but they took the inspiration for the fly human from H.G. Wells' novel, The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh, wow.
That's a fantastic book. And the documentary about the movie is better than the movie itself. But
the one with Brando.
Yeah, the documentary about that is awesome.
It is good. I've seen it. Yeah.
Yep. Critical reception was mixed, you know, called it shock horror, but it justified 2 sequels. Its success did. And not just justified those sequels, like we're talking originals versus remakes. It was significant enough to get a remake, which gives some sway to me. But my last point on It Factor, it was one of the first horror films to be shot in CinemaScope and color.
Oh.
So most films of the time, of the horror films of the time, were black and white.
Mm-hmm.
So this was one of the first ones to be shot in that color style. So for me, things Travis said, it's a 4 on the It Factor for me too.
Nice.
Okay, well, I don't have as much to say on that. When I was thinking about where I seen it, though, I want to say it was there was a clip of that. I think it was the Poltergeist. If I'm thinking correctly, I remember there's a scene. I'm not sure if it's this movie specifically. I just want to say it's in this film where they open a closet. There's the TV in there, and it's that scene playing on the TV. That help me.
Oh wow!
If I'm thinking that's, I want to say that's the film, but I might be wrong.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't either.
But I feel like there has to have been a horror movie that did that at some point with this movie.
It's a horror film. I
Yeah,
want to
it's
say
gotta
that's
be
the
there.
one. I just don't know for sure until I go back and watch the fucking thing, and that's gonna bug me for a while.
It'll be a couple
Bug
years,
me.
and you're yeah.
Average audience, share your thoughts and tell us
Name
what
it.
movie that's in. Yeah.
Yeah, where are you seeing it in general, if any? But I mean, you guys pretty much touched on it and how it's affected the sci-fi horror genre, even with the remakes and all that. But like I said, for me, it was just another one of those, scientific horror films for the time that was kind of popular. That was kind of the big shock for a lot of folks. So I still think 3. I'm good with that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. All right. Last category, and wrapping it up with your final thoughts on it. So, how entertained were you, Travis?
I loved the story. I loved the performances. The direction was fine. The sound design was middling. And score, like, fine. Title sequence was dope. I enjoyed that a lot. But I always try to look for that, and I like when it's good. And I think this one was really good. This movie was very enjoyable on a rewatch. I'd seen this years ago, and doing it for the average podcast, I had a lot of fun with this movie compared to Cronenberg's 1986 masterpiece, perfect film, in my opinion. This doesn't stack up, but how could it? It's from the 50s. It's a different vibe. It's a different story altogether different story. But I still was very entertained. Entertainment factor, I would give this an 8 out of 10 for an entertainment factor.
Wow.
This was
awesome.
Very entertaining. I enjoyed it a lot. I know that y'all have y'all's picadillos with Vincent Price or maybe some other things. But I didn't look at the movie as a padded film. I looked at the script from, like, I feel like that was the way they wrote the script, and then they just so happened to maybe get Vincent. I didn't even know, like, I didn't even consider it that they got him later. I just looked at it from, this is the structure of the story, and I enjoyed it from that perspective. Like, this is the buildup, this is the murder mystery aspect. Now let's flashback and tell that story, and then come back around to bookend it. And then they bookended it with something that we all at least agree is better than average as an ending for a film.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 8 out of 10 entertainment value for me.
Perfect. That puts you at a 42 total. 42 total. And that would be on our scale. That means that you think the movie's pretty great.
I do. I'm not, again, and I've said this multiple times during this episode, I'm not a 50s guy. I haven't seen a lot of movies from that time period, but this movie stood out to me. I thought it was really well done. Hats off to everyone here. Good job.
Okay. So for me, man, gosh, I'm all right. I gotta be honest.
Do it.
For me, I did feel like it was an overly long Twilight Zone episode. So, and that's where I sat with it. I liked quite a bit of it. There's parts of it that I don't really care for and don't really need. I can fast forward the searching for the fly scenes, but I still appreciate the ending. So for me, how entertained was I? I'm right in the middle on it. I'm a 5. I like parts of it, didn't like parts of it. It's gonna take a unique situation for me to let's pull this off again. What I do think this movie is great for is a gateway film. I think this is a great gateway film, especially, I'm thinking, having kids in the future. and I want to share a love of horror with them. And this is a nice way to test the water with somebody nice and young. And like, does that fly freak you out? No. Okay. Well, we're going to ramp it up on the next one. So, you start here. It's a good way to introduce people to these films because it is iconic but it's really easy to swallow. It is not super complicated, but yeah, I was a 5, which puts me overall. I had my half in there. So I was 30.5 overall, or 3 stars out of 5. That's where I was.
Hell yeah.
All right. So for me, I liked it. I liked the contrast of that old style from the 50s versus what we saw in the 80s remake. Overall, I thought it was very interesting to see. And I would certainly, people who've seen the remake and are all about originals, I would definitely recommend that they watch this. Yeah, I'm kicking in at a hard 7 on this. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm genuinely glad you two liked this more than I did. Genuinely am.
I think this movie just, again, from someone who doesn't have the perspective of like watching a lot of movies from this time period, it's a nice surprise to see this much effort put into something that is unquestionably a B movie, but like dolled up. Like this feels like a Jordan Peele movie from the 50s to me.
Made with care.
Yeah, made with care. Like I think everyone here was trying their best. No one phoned it in. Even though Vincent Price wasn't necessarily a standout like he can be, I think he still did a very good job. So yeah, man, I like that, even with you, Tim, like you're saying you're giving it a 3 out of 5 overall. That's still like you said, the bottom side of good. Everyone should go watch this movie if they enjoy horror. Automatically, you got to see this movie. It's a classic. And also, if you enjoy the remake, Cronenberg's remake is a goddamn 10. But check out this movie as well, because it might surprise you. You might like it more than you think you would.
Yeah. Now, one thing I do want to say, there's one person that got kind of overlooked that we didn't really give any love to that I think deserves some. And that is the maid, Emma.
Oh, yeah.
And Kathleen Freeman. When I started watching the movie and I saw the maid, I was like, I know that face. Like, holy shit. I've seen her in so many things. She has had a longer, fuller career than any of the actors in this film.
Really?
By far. Absolutely. She started out in 1948 with her first role and did work up until, I think she passed in like 2001 or something.
Wow.
Dude, she was in, she was featured on Tales from the Crypt. She was in both the Blues Brothers movies, Dutch, Growing Pains. She voiced a character for 10 episodes on DuckTales. Batman Beyond. She voiced for there. She did so much stuff. She's always had a lot of supporting or small cameo roles in TV shows, other old school movies. And just, man, she was doing all kinds of stuff. She was in Hocus Pocus, Naked Gun 33, in a third.
Wow.
She was on 5 episodes of Married with Children, voicing Peggy's mom. Like she was on Roseanne, Duckman, all kinds of shit, dude. Like she was like Clueless. Just like, dude, she had such amazing career. And I think, like I said, she deserves a shout out.
Shout out to the maid. What's her name?
Kathleen Freeman.
Kathleen Freeman, shout out to you, you legend.
Yeah, so fucking
you absolute fucking legend. Yeah, dude. That's awesome.
Hell yeah. So, she was in all kinds of cool stuff. And she was in Ready to Rumble.
Oh, what? Yeah, dude. People overlook like the small parts, right? And oftentimes that happens, but goddamn, I'm glad that Jonathan like shouted out someone that really deserved a nice shout out for doing having such a storied career.
Dude,
and
incredible.
that's working actors, everybody. Like you might not always know who they are, but they are there and they are part of your childhood existence, movie going, TV watching experience. They're always there.
Yep.
Freaking, like I said, this was she started at 48 and did this in 58. So she was 10 years in the game already when doing this film, even though it was such a bit part. And just she did so many films between 48 and 58, like a lot. She did a lot.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So our 3 scores combined bring us to a 35 out of 50, or 3.5 stars out of 5. Overall, the 3 of us say that it's a good movie, and it is, and definitely check it out. I definitely think this 13 Nights of Halloween vessel of comparing remakes and originals is a perfect venue for you to see this. Watch Cronenberg's, watch this one. It's fun to see that comparison. It truly is, to hold them side by side, because they're 2 different beasts, like Travis was saying. They're very different films with similar bones, and it was fun to see it this way. I'm with Travis. Cronenberg's Fly is a masterpiece. This one is a fun B horror movie that we don't see enough of. We don't shed enough love on these films. So hopefully this episode has brought some, even if I'm a little critical of them. I'm a sucker for these 50s horror movies. I fall asleep to them. I put them on, and not in a negative way. Like, I put them on at night to fall asleep to.
Good
because
comfort.
Yes, there's something strangely comforting about, like, I don't know if it's weird, but I love thinking about, like, my grandma and grandpa probably saw this movie, or, the people before us, this is what they talked about. So there's something I love about that. We're all talking about movies that for right before our lives, or when we were super young, like The Fly from Cronenberg.
Mm-hmm.
Who was talking about this one in the 60s? Oh yeah, I love that movie. So there's that little bit of history about these films that I absolutely love. So any other thoughts, guys, before we wrap this up?
I'm chilling, man.
I think you wrapped it up beautifully.
Okay.
That was awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All right. So Travis, thank you so much for being here. We love having you. Love having everybody from the nightclub on the show. It is always a great time. So any of our listeners out there, if you haven't checked out the Nightclub podcast, go do it now. So where can they find you, Travis?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, where you can get podcasts, Spotify, Apple. We're on Instagram, Facebook, X, or Twitter. Yeah, we're all over the place. So check us out, but also join the Discord. We have a Discord channel, and
It's a great place to hang out.
Yeah, fuck yeah. And the Average Podcast has a channel in there where you can go and talk about these episodes too. So find us there as well. And thank you, Tim. Thank you, Jonathan. I love doing this with y'all. This is so much fucking fun. I appreciate it.
So
I'm grateful to be here. I love being on the Average. Average is awesome. I love this show.
If it was for that, then I wouldn't be here either.
Exactly.
Fucking, I love that. I got to meet Jonathan too. So all good, man. Thank you for that shout out. Everyone listen to the fucking Average and give them your reviews. Go to their Instagram page, go to their fucking link tree, get that goddamn review card. Yeah.
Scorecard. Yeah.
And review a movie. Even if it's not one they're covering, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Send in your review of a movie. Like, let's just let them know what you're watching and what you think. It's a fun way to review a movie, in my opinion. Like, this is so fucking cool. I love the Average. Thank y'all.
Oh, Travis, you're doing a better job than I do. Thank you. So join us tomorrow. This was night 10 of 13 Nights of Halloween. We're closing in on favorite time of the year. This whole buildup is my favorite time of the year. It's why I do 13 episodes in a row for 13 days, because I freaking love Halloween. So I'm excited. Tomorrow night, we have another movie from the 50s, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
So we will see you tomorrow night with that one. Peace out.
Peace.